Welcome back to another episode of Nighttime, and boy, do we have a show for you. I'm your host, Kathleen Moore, and alongside me, as always, is Matthew Bracker. Let's get right into what we missed over the long weekend. The Natty, aka the pinnacle of college football, has finally crowned a winner. UCF's dance team is, really good, but UCF basketball is still, UCF basketball.
Yeah.
But, Matthew, first, let's get right into the game that everyone's been talking about.
Of course. The 2025 College Football National Championship game brought together two iconic programs, Ohio State and Notre Dame, in a clash of tradition and talent. For Ohio State, it was a chance to add another title to their illustrious history, led by dynamic quarterback Will Howard and a relentless defense. Notre Dame, on the other hand, was seeking its first championship in decades and aimed to cap off a resurgence under Marcus Freeman with a victory that would solidify their return to college football's elite. But Kathleen, what do you say we get right into this game?
I think we have to. It was a slow start to the Natty as we remained scoreless for the first 10 minutes of the quarter. However, things start to look up with the Irish lined up on the one as Riley Leonard keeps and runs in for the touchdown untouched. We're finally on the board. Matthew, what is he trying to show us? Wow. Ohio State looking to respond, and they sure do when Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith connect on a short pass. He finished his freshman season with 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. Now, Matthew, this is Ohio State's half, just asserting total dominance, especially with this nice little 20-yard pass to Carnell Tate, earning them a fresh set of downs. Now with the handoff to Judkins, you always know he's going to fight for every single inch to get the touchdown, and he does, bringing the score to 14-7. I can't believe this is about to be our third Ohio State end zone appearance in the first half, but Judkins somehow finds himself wide open in the end zone, and the score is brought to a disgusting, a filthy 21-7 at the end of the half.
No idea how he got that wide open, but it doesn't matter. It's 31-7, 3 minutes left in the third, and Leonard is going to find Greathouse, and he'll break a tackle, spin out of another one, and he's going to turn on the Jets. He's got a man to beat, but they aren't going to get him. Touchdown Irish. He continues his monster playoffs, and Notre Dame needs to go for two, so they're going to shovel pass to Jeremiah Love, and it's good. He finally gets involved in this one. Signs of life from the Golden Boys. Now, Will Howard looking to reel things back in here. He'll jet sweep. No, reverse. It's Emeka Egbuka, the star wideout, and he's got some room to work with. He's making a couple people miss. It's a sea of Notre Dame, and he loses the ball. Notre Dame with the ball back. Now 4 minutes left. They need to play perfect, and Leonard is going to air it else, and who else but Greathouse. And he reels it in for a tough touchdown that'll get them closer. But they still need the 2-point conversion, and Leonard will hand it off to Jordan Faison, and he's going to throw it to Bo Collins. Shades of Scadaboo. It's an 8-point game, and now Will Howard on third down, throw of his life. Who else? It's caught by Smith, the freshman phenom, to seal the Natty. He's younger than me, and he's making these plays. Come on. They're fired up. Will Howard, he's fired up. LeBron's fired up. And Ohio State wins the national championship 34-23. They won the first 4-team playoff, and now they are champions of the first 12-team playoff. Boy, this Natty delivered, huh?
It really did, Matthew. I mean, when we watched it, the first half, I thought that Notre Dame was cooked. I was like, game's in the bag.
Hey, I don't want to brag, but I did say at halftime, I said, this kind of feels like a Super Bowl 51, maybe they'll come back. And it got close.
It did.
It got a little too close for comfort, but Ryan Day was able to pull free.
Ryan Day was shaking in his boots what he was doing.
I've never seen a man throw his headset further than that man after that game. But let's break down this year's national championship game with college football experts Andrew Greig and Nick Cohen. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, awesome. I'm excited to talk the national championship.
Awesome. Us too. Hey, well, let's just get right into it. What are some key takeaways from this Natty?
So a key takeaway that I had, I feel like you can't take away too much from this game because Ohio State comes in as 8.5-point favorites. You kind of expect them to do what they did, but key takeaway just in general for this season for Ohio State is having a great receiver is something that you almost need in today's college football. I mean, a lot of schools do. Like Ole Miss had Trey Harris this season. There's just a lot of standout wide receivers, but Jeremiah Smith was essentially a man amongst boys, and saying that he's only 19 years old and a true freshman, but he was insane the whole season, and obviously he had 5 receptions for 88 yards, which is a good game, not a great game, but just in general, the attention that he draws, on that one play where the DB was jumping up and down, talking to the rest of the defense, talking about how Jeremiah Smith was wide open, nobody was on him. The type of coverage that he gets every single, Texas was triple covering him at some point during their semifinal round. Having a receiver like Jeremiah Smith to step up in those moments and just be that big of a factor, I think is something that can't be underscored. And just having a guy like that is a key takeaway that any team should be looking for in either the transfer portal or recruiting classes come in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree. When you have a star wide receiver, it's always going to help. And he was just beating, those guys in coverage like right at the line every single play.
yeah.
It felt
And
like.
as a true freshman, that's a pretty ridiculous stat line to have.
Yeah, I just think that they were honestly outplayed, out-physicaled. Marcus Freeman, he didn't really show that, game calling with
It
the
wasn't as
same
impulsive.
unpredictability as you saw throughout the playoffs. And Jeremiah Love was a non-factor. 6 touches, 8 yards? No, you can't do that.
So is this Ohio State team the best college football team of all time?
Because some people are saying it is.
Very controversial.
I personally have a lot of gripes with this question even being raised. I don't think this Ohio State team is even close to being the greatest team of all time. I mean, they have 2 losses on the season. Obviously, one of them was avenged, but you can't lose. There used to be a saying in Ohio State that you can't even claim a national championship without beating Michigan, so there's no chance that a 7-5, 8-5 Michigan team should be able to beat this team and then later on being able to claim the fact that they are the best team of all time. Obviously, you have 2019 LSU, you have 2002 the Miami Hurricanes. You have a lot of separate teams that have been I didn't even think the 2014 Ohio State team could be. I don't even think this is the greatest Ohio State team ever. So this question is just. I don't think that it's even close. I don't think you can put this team up there. Obviously, if you just go from top to bottom, Will Howard is a good quarterback, but is he even a first-round pick going out of next year's draft? Probably. Maybe.
I'd say no.
Maybe not. Probably. And then obviously, you have a good running back duo, but I just don't see how this team could even possibly be raised. Obviously Jeremiah Smith is probably going to be one of the best receivers possibly in college football ever, and then you have a lot of Emeka Egbuka, but I just don't think it stacks up anywhere close to LSU or the Miami Hurricanes or anything close to that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they even stack up to 2019 LSU. I mean, that was a ridiculous team.
No, yeah. Nick, what do you think?
I completely agree. I mean, just Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, all these players, plain and simple, I also agree this is not the best college football team ever, and I also agree with what Andrew said. Likely not even the best Ohio State team ever.
Yeah. No, I guess the argument there is that, they're champions of the first 12-team playoffs, so they had a tougher route, but I think I could think of 5 other teams. But
right.
Moving on, Jeremiah Smith had a monster game, obviously. Is 19-year-old Jeremiah Smith, because he's 19, that's insane. Is he going to be the best wide receiver in college football next season? What do you guys think?
I think it's hard to make a case that he wasn't the best college football receiver this season. So going into next season, obviously you lose guys like Luther Burden, Territory McMillan. You have guys like Trey Harris from Ole Miss entering the draft. I think that there's a plethora of receivers that you could kind of had made a case for last year. Emeka Egbuka even on his team. But going into next season, I think it's undoubtedly people are calling him the best receiver this season. He's just too big, too strong. There's not a DB that can guard him in single coverage. He laughs at the fact that people try to guard him in man coverage. So I don't think that there's another receiver quite like him in college football this year. And going into next season, I think that he's the clear number 1, especially with a lot of those guys that I mentioned leaving.
Yeah. Nick, what do you think?
I, again, completely agree. Andrew beating me to it. I think, 19 years old. We say it all the time. And what he's doing already, he had the second most yards for a freshman receiver in history, only behind Michael Crabtree. He had an amazing season, and I'd be shocked if he doesn't just keep on going up.
Crabtree, a name
Yeah,
I haven't
I was
heard.
about to say, what a
That was
pull.
a throwback.
I think you guys are maybe forgetting Ryan Williams. I
Not
think
really.
that he's very dynamic, and also he hasn't even turned 18 yet. He's still 17. So I think he has an edge on potential, but we'll see.
Perhaps.
We'll see.
Well, moving right into it, what does this win mean for Ryan Day? I mean, is the dark cloud over him gone all of a sudden?
I don't think totally. Granted, the big rivalry is Ohio State and Michigan, and he's only beaten Michigan once, and that's extremely frowned upon. Yes, you brought a national championship. That's great. Congrats. I don't know. I don't think we can just wipe the slate clean. Yeah, plain and simple.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree. I think that Ryan Day's seat is definitely cooler than it maybe was going into the national championship. But anything short of beating Michigan is upsetting for a lot of Ohio State fans. I mean, this guy's getting his house TP'd. It's kind of absurd how drastically Ohio State fans take that Michigan rivalry. But until you at least have a positive record, he's 1-4 against the Michigan Wolverines. And some of those seasons, obviously, some great Michigan teams, but some. I'd argue he should have at least 3 wins against them, going into at least 2 from this season. So I don't think that Ryan Day is completely safe, but I think that winning the national championship, you can't. I don't think anybody's mad currently, but going into next season, you gotta beat Michigan.
Yeah, I agree with that, but also those division rivalries are so tough. I mean, those can always go either way, regardless of
you
how
gotta
good
be
any
Michigan.
team is.
This year, you gotta be. Who was their star? Donovan Edwards? Come on. I think that his reputation is on an upward climb, but I think there's still like a sprinkle of pessimism. He almost blew it. I'm gonna be real. It felt a lot closer than it was towards the end. We'll see. But we're gonna get into next season's championship picks, who we think are going to win it. We'll start with Nick. Who do you think is going to win the national championship next year?
So we kind of hear every single year, just like the Dallas Cowboys, it's another Texas team. I'm choosing Texas to win the championship in 2026. And the main reason being just like they're always building for the future. They had the #1 recruiting class in the country this year, #1 in the SEC, and just all of college football, getting 4 5-star recruits amongst many other 4-stars and 3-stars. And also, I think Quinn Ewers is going to return for another season. And the good news is if he doesn't, or if he has another lackluster season like this year, and they decide to just cut it early, they do have Manning. So, we'll have to see. But I feel good about Texas and Steve Sarkisian next season.
Yeah, that's my pick too. I'm taking Texas. I think
thank you.
Yeah, I got you. They're returning too many players. I think that it's a no-brainer. I think they're gonna wipe the floor next year in the SEC.
Yeah, for my pick, I'm gonna have to go Georgia. You can never count out the Bulldogs. I know they're losing Carson Beck to Miami, but I think Kirby Smart he's a great college football coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that no matter what, he's going to bring in a great recruiting class, and that's what's going to skyrocket them up to the national championship level again next season.
All right, Andrew, take us away.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I have to disagree with all three of you guys. I think the Oregon Ducks are going to be crowned national champions next year. I think that this year was probably their best shot to do it, but then you realize like who they have returning and then who people aren't even talking about. Dante Moore, former 5-star recruit, #4 in his class. It was one of the best quarterbacks coming out. Was supposed to be an all-star prospect, 5-star recruit. Like everybody was on him about Dante Moore being the next hyped player. And he went to Oregon. He got a year under Dylan Gabriel, and he was able to just learn from Dylan Gabriel. And obviously, I think that their returning class will be good enough to win the national championship. I also just want to say one thing really quickly, right? I came on here last semester, right? I said Ohio State was going to win the national championship, so if that doesn't help raise your stock, it might take a little bit. I don't know what will. And then I also want to say, just wrapping up college football on nighttime this semester, I want to just go over Notre Dame called that they were going to be I said they were a treat when we did the trick or treat segment. BYU said they were a trick when they were still undefeated, and I said Indiana would go 3-1 and make the playoffs. So I have some credibility. I kind of know what I'm talking about. Please, Oregon, put your money on it.
All right. Well, we'll see if you can go 2 for 2. College football experts, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. When we come back, we'll cover all things college sports in a brand new segment right after this.
Never got me anything for my birthday.
I don't even know what that is. I thought birthdays were every 100 years like the Kids' Choice Awards.
What?
Finally, he's here, man. He's always late.
Who?
Marcus?
You good? I'd give them one of these, one of these.
Behind every on-screen moment is a whole team of engineers and technologists.
And you can be a part of such a team through SMPTE at UCF. You'll join a team of students just like you who are ready to innovate the future of TV and film.
With SMPTE at UCF, you'll be able to connect with local industry pros, learn about new technology in the industry, as well as get backstage experience that really matters. Join SMPTE for a backstage pass to all of this.
We meet every last Monday of the month for our general body meetings. There we discuss how new technology is being used to create new media, and we get to highlight local professionals and their specialties.
On top of that, we have some site visits planned, so tune into our social media to be notified of when those will happen.
So if you're ready to pull back the curtain and find out what really happens behind the scenes, join SMPTE at UCF.
Welcome back to Nighttime. It's time to go all around the world of college sports. But first, the rules. Matthew and I get a minute to yap about each topic, otherwise we're getting fired. Let's get into the rundown, starting with UCF men's tennis. The team is currently 5-0, so basically they're absolutely raw. Mehdi, the Moroccan monster, is 11-3 in singles, which is just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, he's great. And like you said, this team is hot, right? He is a crazy playmaker, but I also want to shout out his fellow junior, Yassine. He's 7-5 in singles, and he's 4-0 in dual competition. I mean, you just look at some of these highlights here, and these guys, we have some really great playmakers on this team. Here you can see against FAU, we were always beating them. Come on, come on. But
I mean, some truly raw talent on this tennis team. As far as I know, we are nationally ranked. Coming up in the next few weeks, they're playing Oklahoma State, they're playing Arizona, USC, South Florida, Miami.
Yeah.
So some tough competitors ahead, but
and it's early in the season, you know. So we have a whole season ahead of us. I think that UCF tennis is on the rise. Mark it now, we are a tennis school, but let's get into UCF dance and cheer.
All right, so UCF dance placed third at UDA for their incredible hip hop routine. I showed this to Matthew, and he was like, bruh, this hits. How could anyone beat them?
I don't know if I said exactly that.
It was something along those lines.
Okay.
But this UCF team, they have had great success at the UDA competitions year in and year out. Our cheerleading team has been national champions so many times, but truly this team made history in hip hop. I mean, this routine was so clean. They had great lines.
Medaling for the first time in program history, third in the nation. You know, you can argue that they should have placed higher. I saw 1 and 2. Come on.
Well, when you get to a certain level, it gets hard to judge these teams for what they are because everyone is so good, and you're just nitpicking the tiniest little things.
And you know, it is hard to judge art, you know, because art is a, you know, it's a mental thing kind of. It's what people like, what people don't like. It could be any judge on any day can like something other than something else.
Right. All right, Matthew, let's move into the Pac-12 right now. There are 8 members in the Pac-12, but Gonzaga does not have a football program, so the conference has to come up with one more before 2026. Who should it be? I'm thinking SDSU. I think they'd be a great fit. Geographically, it makes sense. The media presence there also fits the Pac-12 vibe. What do you think?
Right. I mean, I definitely like that. It's definitely geographically, you know, I kind of see it. Low-key, I'm kind of thinking that they should expand their territory to Texas. And I'm going to say Texas State out of the Sun Belt. They had a pretty solid season. I think they're on the rise. I know that the Pac is eyeing them. I think that they could be a good fit.
I mean, I don't hate that either. I also think that UNLV wouldn't be a bad option either, but I really am sticking with SDSU here just because they also have these new buildings that really like fit the Pac-12 vibe. And I think that it's time for them to move out of Mountain West, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I think one could say too, you could also look at the FCS level, like a level under with Montana State, North Dakota State. I think they got Gonzaga up. Why not get one of those up?
Right. All right. Moving into Cooper Flagg. Is the hype legit? He's gotten 7 ACC Rookie of the Week awards, including this week. I mean, this guy is a once-in-a-generation talent. I mean, these stats are literally ridiculous.
Yeah, what? He's averaging 19 points per 8 rebounds, 4 assists. The guy is going to be so good at the NBA level. It's insane.
80.9% on free throws.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about free throws. They should be automatic, but most people aren't as automatic as Cooper Flagg.
But are you nitpicking that? I mean, he's shooting almost 50. I think for someone at his position, that's solid. Look, Cooper Flagg is my prince of sweetness, okay? Justice wanted me to say that on there, and I did for him. This guy is going #1, no question. You know, he was one of the first, or one of the only players this season to put up like 40 points, and it was something else. It was another stat, I can't remember it. The only other player, Keyshawn Hall of UCF.
Gosh. So do we think that Cooper Flagg is going to be like a one and done? Like, do you think he's going to the NBA?
Without question. If he spends another year at Duke, I will like sell everything I own. There's no reason for it. He's going to be the clear-cut #1 player in this draft. Now, albeit it is a stronger draft than last year, but no, he's #1.
Yeah. All right, moving into Carson Beck. I don't really know how he wouldn't have success in the ACC now that he's moving to Miami, considering he's coming from the SEC, the ultimate football powerhouse.
Right.
So is Miami better now that Carson Beck is added to the roster?
Look, I mean, when you add an SEC quarterback, an SEC player of any type, especially someone coming from Georgia, they are well trained. They know how to play football. Carson Beck, I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. He has some serious turnover issues. I know that graphic didn't really show that all that much, but when he gets bad in a game, he gets really bad. I mean, he's playing these primetime games, throwing 3 picks, and 1 touchdown. I don't think he has that clutch gene. But it is the ACC.
But yeah, I mean, you have to think about the team pool that he's been playing his entire college career. I mean, it's the SEC. Like, these are the best of the best in college football. And the ACC is, well, lack of a better term, lackluster. Miami is one of the best teams for college football in the ACC. So I think this is going to be a great landing spot for him. I think he's really going to flourish.
All right, but that is it for the rundown. That was stressful. I am very stressed.
We're yappers, man.
Yeah, this was a great segment for us yappers, but that'll do it for this one, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Stay with us for the next segment where we're going to talk about all things UCF basketball. So stay tuned.
Ready for the next segment on one of our amazing shows. I'm Nick Cohen, host of season 20 of Hitting the Field, and let me tell you about those amazing shows. On behalf of HTF, we hope you're enjoying today's content, but I'm here to tell you about everything else we offer here at the network. Mondays at 4, HTF Bets goes live for season 10 with 3 gamblers that, although it may not always seem like it, are here to help us all earn a little bit of extra money while we watch sports. Diego Ortiz, Tyler Brownrigg, and Andrew Greig's ball knowledge and fun personalities make this show a fan favorite. On Tuesdays, you all loved it, so we brought it back for season 2. It's Girls Got Game, hosted by Frankie Noble, a show blending women in sports, the biggest sports news stories, and creative segments that make for a fun and engaging show. Next is everyone's favorite sports podcast, The Combine, hosted by who other than Ty Patton, an easygoing, conversational, and technical podcast dropping Wednesdays, also on Spotify at The Combine. Then tune in Thursdays at noon for the network's main show, season 20 of Hitting the Field, hosted by me. Here, we'll cover any sport, any topic, any story, no matter how obscure. We love some football, basketball, hockey, F1. We also cover baseball, soccer, and we even have to show the UFC love sometimes. Penultimately, TGIF, because Friday is nighttime, hosted by Kathleen Moore and Matthew Bracker. Season 8 of Nighttime is where you'll turn to for all things March Madness, UCF sports, and other collegiate events. We're ending with something brand new. HTFN has never had 6 shows running at once. Also filmed in our new podcast studio is HTFC, hosted by Edgar Rodriguez and Patrick De Leon. Football, or soccer in America, is the most popular sport in the world. Across multiple leagues and cups, soccer is a year-round sport, and HTFC is your news source to stay updated. Also on Spotify, by the way, at HTFC. Outside of our 6-show roster, be sure to tune in to our other content, such as the Studio Days vlog, run by our vlog squad of Brianna St. Jean, Michaela Croker, Ashley Rowe, and Ben Huber. Make sure to follow us on our social medias like Instagram, Facebook, and X to stay updated on all HTFN news. Remember to subscribe right here on YouTube, leave a like and comment, and with that, I think we're ready for your next segment. I'm Nick Cohen. Thank you for your continued support, and back to your regularly scheduled programming.
And welcome back to Nighttime. That's right, we're still here. It's time to get into what has been a rough stretch of games for our UCF Knights. Let's dive right into it, starting our recap with women's basketball, UCF at TCU. And they are up big in the first quarter here. Madison Connor will push the lead, her 3 good, 4 and 9 from deep on the night. But UCF can shoot some threes too. Well, sometimes, I guess. Caitlin Peterson, her triple good, led the Knights with 33 points. Now, dropping you into the third quarter, UCF down big, and it's only going to get worse. Sedona Prince with a tough layup, 27 points for her. Horned Frogs up by 20. Now, UCF is trying to get closer, and they'll put up some post moves here. She'll get 2, but this game is over. TCU takes it 90-81. All
right, keeping it with the ladies, UCF played number 24 ranked Oklahoma State at home. Caitlin Peterson finds the open lane, drives and lobs it in to try and close the 13-point gap. But things get rough as UCF only puts up a staggering 10 points in the entire third quarter. From the corner, 22 Macy Heward knocks down the 3 for the almost 25-point lead. On the day, the Knights did pull down 42 rebounds in total, most of them from putbacks, but overall a tough loss as the Knights fall 72-58 against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that was rough, but now it's time for men's basketball in space. Okay. Knights are hosting Houston, and Shiam sets a screen for Mikey Williams, and He's going to shoot a three. It's good. You don't really see that much often. Now, next play, Chum battling for a rebound. Mikey will recover, dish out to Senior Johnson. Johnson lob to J.J. Taylor. Watch your head. It's a party in space, but every party ends. 7-0 run by Houston to start the second half. Layup by Jawan Roberts now giving the Cougars the lead, 21 on the night. Now tight game. Darius Johnson layup. No, lob to Chiam. Breakout game for the freshman. Now UCF up by 1, 3 seconds left. Roberts double covered. Layup is good. No, they win. Heartbreak. Next game, I can't.
All right, let's take it over to number 3, Iowa State territory, where the first half Knights hang on 18-8 right before Keyshawn Gilbert knocks down the 3. Followed up by another beauty from Joshua Jefferson. Now, Chiam taking a rare trip outside the paint, takes a shot for 3, and it's good. Don't see a lot of big men with threes in their stat line, but hey, why not? UCF isn't quite ready for their win against a top 10 team this season and goes on to lose this one 108-83.
That was tough.
That Houston game was absolutely tragic.
I was like...
I was there lined up to storm the court, ready for the upset.
I did leave right before the game started after ESPN show.
Yeah.
I am glad that there wasn't a court storm because I would have been sad if I missed it. But
right.
I'm sad for you, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now we welcome in Kymani Brown to help us digest the state of these teams. How's it going?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Yeah,
Doing
you know,
great.
not too bad. So what's gone wrong here? What's gone right for UCF basketball for both the men's and the women's teams?
We'll start with the men's team.
Well, I would say what's gone right for the men's team at least is we can hit the threes. Darius Johnson's being really consistent as well as being a good leader. He's giving us about 14 to 15 points a game, giving us a couple assists as well. However, I cannot say that much about our women's team, sadly. I mean, we are being carried by Kaylin, and she's doing great, but we're just not doing enough to get us a win. I think it might have to do with our inability to shoot from deep. Every competitor that we've had, they've taken at least 20 to 25, maybe 33s a game. We're taking barely even 10. Not to mention we're not even making half of them. So I think that's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Right, and it makes me wonder what Caitlin Peterson would look like on a different team. Would she have as much success, or is she having this much success because
She's
of
still
the
putting
state
up
of the
numbers.
women's team?
She's putting around 20 points per game. I think that problem with our men's and women's team is that we just are not physical in the paint. We are always getting outscored in the paint, always getting out rebounded. It's a problem for both teams. But women's team is tough right now on an 8-game losing streak. They need to bounce back. They need to bounce back against Iowa State. But,
absolutely.
Kymani, where do you think that UCF went wrong in their game versus Iowa State? Do you think that it was a matter of lack of talent, or are we just lacking the fundamentals, like we said, in the paint, or things like that?
Well, for our men's team against Iowa State, I don't necessarily think it was a lack of talent because all of these guys have proven that they can play at this level. They can play in this conference. It's all about getting it together all at one point. I can say, like, when you go down to the stats at the end of the day, being tremendously out-rebounded and almost giving away turnovers, we're doubling their other team's turnovers, and that's leading to second chance points, which at the end of the game gave them about 25 extra points. As long with that, as well as leading with the second chance points, that can really defer a game being in our hands or not if it's close. That game necessarily wasn't the most close, but if we convert on our free throws and we're getting a way to have a paint presence, I mean, our guard, Keyshawn, he's averaging the most rebounds on our team, which is kind of outrageous depending on the fact that he's not even 6'9", 6'10". So I think those things kind of what hinted at our Iowa State loss, but I definitely think we could definitely compete, and when we play them again, I definitely think that's something we could take.
Right.
Keyshawn getting boards is not something I really expected out of this season.
Especially when you have a 7'2" center.
Yeah, but he look, Chiam's a freshman.
He is.
I think he needs more time to develop, but that 18-point breakout game, that's very telling for sure.
Very good for him.
Sure.
So taking it back to Oklahoma State with the women's basketball team, how did UCF women's basketball manage Oklahoma State's clear rebounding dominance? I mean, it was rough.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think they did what they could. I mean, you're going to crowd the paint when you think that you need as many rebounds as you can. However, doing that, it gave the team a lot of free throws. They had 21 free throws to our 10, unfortunately. And I also believe that with that, we're also pulling our defenders in a little bit, which is creating the other team to shoot a lot more. So Oklahoma State ended up shooting, again, almost 33 points a game versus I think we only had like 12.
Yeah, that game, that was a tough watch. But speaking of another tough watch, Houston Like we said, heartbreaking match. What do you think that UCF could have done differently to change the outcome in that one?
Really, that game, it was pretty well fought. I mean, I liked seeing our team play. I liked seeing their team play. Like, I couldn't really pull too many negatives from us, except for the fact that when you're having a close game, and in any game in general, when you're shooting less than 70% from the free throw line, that's always going to bite you in the butt at the end. And unfortunately, I think that's what really did us in that game. I mean, we did have a 12-point lead. You could also chop it up to us being able to maintain a lead in a game, but like every close game in basketball, it comes down to what are the free throws we missed in the first half and what are the free throws we missed in the second half. And when you lose a game by 1 point, you're going to look at the differential in free throws. And if you couldn't convert 70% of them, that's all you can really chop it up the loss to.
Yeah, exactly. You have to capitalize off of those free shots, honestly.
That was painful to watch in the
in
the last half of the game.
And
I mean,
that leads us into our next question. What are your thoughts on Keyshawn Hall's inconsistencies over the last few games?
Keyshawn, I actually like his game. Clearly, anybody giving you a 40 ball and then the next game giving you 6 is definitely not the best thing to see. However, I feel like if we can get at least 14 to 15 points a game out of him like we're consistently getting out of Darius, and he gets to the free throw line, at least takes 6 free throws a game, I think that's all we can ask for him. If he gives us more than 15, that's going to be great. But if he gives us 15, limits his turnovers to about 2 a game, and gets to the free throw line and gives at least 6 to 7 free throws, I think that's all I can really ask for him. Anything other than that, the games where he has less than those are the games we lose, and those are the games that aren't too close. But I think that'll be really what it is.
I mean, that seems like the magic number to me. You know, when you're a professional, free throws are like the #1 thing they teach you. You have to make those. But I mean, there's no doubt he's a scorer. It's just sometimes they're hot, sometimes they're cold. But
right. Well, ESPN is saying they see UCF as a bubble team for March Madness, but they need a big resume-boosting win to be considered. Do you agree with them? And if so, what game do you think we can get this win in?
I believe, well, to close out the month of January, you know, clear off TCU. We could try to do what we can to finish out Kansas, but really I think it's going to be that prime month of February when we go back and we play Iowa again. We have to win every game with a team with a number on the next to it. Like any team that's ranked, we have to take them. No team that's on our schedule for February that's ranked or March is too out of our reach. We just have to capitalize on that. We have to get our bigs involved. We have to figure out a way to get Keyshawn not to have to rebound too much, because that can have him either leak out for an offensive break, or that can have just another reset on the court and, you know, slow things down to our game and play our game.
Right. I mean, looking at the schedule here, they play Kansas, Iowa State, and West Virginia. Those are our only ranked games left. So we're running out of time. I kind of feel an upset coming against Kansas.
Yeah,
something in there.
It's our turn. It's our turn.
Yeah, I definitely think if we did it before, why not do it again? You know what I'm saying? So I think if we get that win, if we close out the month of January with these 2 wins, and then we do it again in February, and then we clear out West Virginia, I don't see why we can't be in there. And I don't see why we can't be a considered threat in the tournament.
Yeah, for sure. Now it's time to get into our game of the week, Houston versus Kansas. Kathleen, I think that you have a hat you want to put on or something.
Oh,
because
I guess
someone didn't pick the correct
correct score
of the national championship.
It's chicken time.
That's brutal. I'll start. Houston versus Kansas. It's tough. Both 2 great teams, but I'm going to call the upset here and pick Houston. I think that they played a really good game in the second half against UCF, so I'll pick Houston.
I'm going to go Kansas here. I'm going to get this right, so goodbye,
you cannot
chicken
throw
hat.
that.
I threw it.
Kymani,
Take us
is
out.
Take us out. What do you think?
Unfortunately, I did just say we should upset Kansas, but I think Kansas is going to come out with this win. I would love to see them lose, and I would love to see Houston lose, but they both can't lose. So I think I'm going to take Kansas for the win.
Yeah,
all right, well, glad to have someone on my side here. But that'll do it for this episode of Nighttime. Thanks for stopping by. For all our guests, for everyone in the studio, alongside Matthew Bracker, I'm Kathleen Moore. Have a good one.